two people in half the time or something. I don't know. It's the only presentation they're going to let me talk really fast. Okay, so we're talking about green infrastructure, which to me implies a return back to nature. It's an attempt to meet the needs of the built environment and solve current pollution problems through the use of natural ecosystem processes. By connecting a series of these smaller ecosystems, you can imagine we can achieve significant benefits to our surrounding air, land, water, and improve the quality of our built environment. So, we found ourselves as a nation in a place where our rivers were so polluted by industrial waste after the Industrial Revolution that they were literally being set on fire. And the government passed the Clean Water Act to regulate the pollutants being discharged into our lakes, rivers, and streams. The Clean Water Act declared that our waterways must be clean so that they can once again be used for fishing and swimming. But that was in 1972. And my question is, why is it still that we have signs that say danger, no swimming, warning us to stay away from New York City's water? Well, the short answer to that is poop and other sewage-related pollution. But how does it get there? So I'd like to start by answering this question by stressing that what we do on land has a direct impact on what happens in our city's waters. So for instance, if we throw litter on the ground, which I know none of you do, the chances are that it'll end up in the gutter. And once it goes in the gutter, it has a very high likely chance of getting into our rivers. Conversely, if we take care of a local street tree, which is the most basic form of green infrastructure, this action, we will show you, can have a positive impact on water quality. So in New York City and other older cities, we have what's called a combined sewer system. What that means is on a sunny day or a day with no rain, the water that we use in our toilets, our sinks, our showers, empties into one single sewer in the ground that's brought in New York City to one of 14 wastewater treatment plants. But on a rainy day, as we have all experienced in New York City, the stormwater that lands on our rooftops, streets, sidewalks, and other impervious or hard surfaces runs off into our gutters and into the same sewer pipe that I was just saying our toilets and our showers and our building sewage goes into. So what's the result? The wastewater treatment plant cannot handle all of this flow. And rather than have sewage back up into our homes and our buildings, the combined stormwater and sewage mix is discharged untreated into our waterways, resulting in poop, garbage, and other pollution into our waterways. And as little as a quarter inch of rain can cause this to happen in certain locations. We call this combined sewage overflow, or CSO for short, and it is a name given to places where this discharge occurs. This map shows about 450 locations throughout New York City where CSO is occurring, and it's about 27 billion gallons per year of raw sewage being dumped into our rivers.
So, in an incredibly dense urban environment facing climate change impacts, which means more serious wet weather events at a more frequent pace, what are we going to do? Green infrastructure provides a whole systems approach to handling our stormwater. What we see here is a lot of concrete, glass, and impervious surface that absorbs and holds the sun's rays, and it results in a great deal of heat being stored within our built environment. And so not only, as Dawn said earlier, does land use impact water quality, but it also impacts our ambient temperature. So all of this heat stored is known as the heat island effect. But, so back in July, there was this map that was taken, a thermal map that was done on a 110-degree day. And what we see in areas like Hunts Point and Astoria, highly industrialized areas, a lot of red, a lot of heat, 120 plus degrees. What we see in Central Park and in Prospect Park is a cooler area. These are concentrated areas of natural ecosystems that are fully exploiting the ability of trees and soils to cool and evapotranspire. However, gray infrastructure does not allow us to do this. Here we see a lot of impervious surface. I don't see any biodiversity that green infrastructure would bring us, and I don't see any recreational space that we would find in our parks. And it's incredibly costly. What we do see here, this is Newtown Creek, their new digesters that they built. This actually results in concentrated impacts with a lot of noise, a lot of truck traffic, and a lot of odors. Over the past 5 years, we've seen an extreme sea change in the way that the city responds and recognizes the ability of green infrastructure to not only mitigate combined sewer outfall, but also provide other multiple benefits. A lot of this is due to the stormwater advocates on the ground. One in particular is the Stormwater Infrastructure Matters Coalition, really pushing for achieving swimmable, fishable waters through the multiple benefits of green infrastructure. This plan shouts out to us all of the different uses that we see here: constructed wetlands, rain barrels, green roofs, pervious pavement, porous pavers. Green infrastructure doesn't have to be fancy. It can be a very creative solution here on a concrete slab. We see a lot of 55-gallon drums used for urban agriculture. Or it can be very fancy. You can have a sedum-planted rooftop overlooking Manhattan. The idea is to start thinking about our public infrastructure, our roadways and our sidewalks as hybrid uses of space. Really, instead of just transporting people and cars, let's think about it as stormwater capture and groundwater recharge. So here what we're seeing is a typical sidewalk. This is in Jamaica, Queens. Here's the before, here's the after. We have an expanded tree pit, we have biodiversity, we have soil, we're allowing water in, so we're beautifying the area and we're also cooling the area. Green streets is another example in the public right-of-way, but green infrastructure has to be intentional. We can't just take, like Green Streets does, a piece of pavement and convert it into a planted area. It has to be designed in a certain way that will allow the maximum absorption of stormwater. So green streets really represent, it's a great idea, but we have to retrofit them to capture more stormwater. And what is this all about? It's really all about community. Here we see, on the right, we see a guy that just installed, he's part of Grow NYC, just installed a rainwater harvesting system for a community garden. On the left, we see the Bronx River Alliance, and all of this idea of distributed green infrastructure citywide needs a ton of workforce. We need people to design, install, and maintain this workforce. So it's really about communities, and it's about communities and their access to the water. We're out on the water. These aren't like future pictures. Kids are out there doing kayaking and boating, and they're also doing fishing and swimming. So green infrastructure is a system solution to get us all the water quality needs that meet our recreational activities. Thank you.